It's brilliant what he's doing.
I think he should go on.
He's an inspiration.
It's brilliant.
For me, it's an interesting thing to see.
It's an attraction for London.
All he's doing is lining his own pocket.
It's really bizarre. I think it's really weird.
It's really fascinating, actually. It's a really nice box.
I'm more hungry than he is, and I ate this morning.
You're crazy, man! I think David Blaine's lame.
I think it's a bit of a wally, actually.
I think he's very brave.
I think it's stupid.
Brave or stupid?
It's a little bit stupid.
I think it's quite funny, to be honest.
It's scary.
I just think it's really bizarre.
I think it's great.
I think he's doing a good job.
He's a nutter.
He was great, we waved at him.
Love him, love him.
We love David Blaine.
David Blaine.
Most definitely.
I love him, mate.
Love, he's the dude, he's the best. We love David Blaine.
Hey, freak, why isn't he doing for charity? I wish more people were doing that sort of thing.
I think he has the right to be up there if he wants to do it.
It's a free world, isn't it?
But we've just said he's a fraud. Shaun knew that in the first place. Whatever, he's good looking. He looks a bit cold.
I must admit, I wanted to throw an egg at him.
Well, he's doing well anyway.
He's got half ounce of coke.
He's plainly on it, mate.
He'll do it easy, I'm telling you.
But I hope he stays the course.
Good luck, mate. Good luck.
No one could do that. Fucking... Let's go wake him up. Come on, mate.
What do I think of him? Well, I think he's ruining our park and just attracting the most weirdest people around him.
Many fans flocked to the site, but some were more devoted than others. Below David Blaine, a tent had been set up. Magician Richard Bellars and street performer Shaun Ames have their own 44-day challenge set for them by David Blaine.
I came on the first day and said to him I'll stay for 2 days and 2 nights, and he put 3 fingers up and challenged me to 3 days. So, and then next day was 4 and 5, so I just got out of a tent, pitched up and staying in support.
Shaun came down to the site to work out how the trick was done. He was so impressed with Richard's challenge, he decided to tag along. Their tent is within the compound, which is closed off to the public at night.
Just a nice little area, and it's quite cut off, so you don't get all the crowds coming over. Security are always watching it to make sure there's no sort of trouble that comes over to it.
The novelty of living at the site is beginning to wear thin.
Today's no different to yesterday or the day before. Just support David and be part of this whole thing.
The weather's a bit on and off all the time.
The cold's starting to creep in and the rain's starting to creep in. It's not so easy anymore.
And it's got to a point now where it's a challenge to ourselves to see if we can make the 44 days in the tent rather than just, just here to support David.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a personal challenge. Definitely.
Outside the safety of the compound, another tent has been set up. The resident is a peace-loving hippie called Rob. He is camping here to support David Blaine.
I don't know, I think it's a really interesting statement that he's making. This is like Babylon Central, London, put baby on the front of London and you got Babylon Don, haven't you? So here you can get anything and everything in the world, can't you? Anything you want. You can go and get caviar from Russia, you can go and get champagne from France. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing you can't get a hold of here. And the money side of it as well is like, this is money central. He's sitting up there kind of just doing totally the opposite thing, and to me it's like I can equate it to Christ in the wilderness doing his 40 days. He said David's doing 44 days.
Appalled by the waste being generated at the site, Rob has set about recycling.
And that's what I'm doing, partly because of the throwing side of it, and someone got bottled or something the other day as well, so I'm taking away that side of it, but also to put across the possibilities of recycling.
What was a passing visit has turned into a personal challenge for Rob, and he intends to see it through to day 44.
David Blaine insane!
In the tunnel under Tower Bridge, you would find Ben. He is 19 years old and homeless. He has found this is the best spot for begging.
Excuse me, could you spare me $2.50 so I can get a burger? Go on, help the homeless man for once. I've got to try.
The majority of David Blaine's fans will pass through the tunnel. Once inside, it is not easy to avoid Ben.
Blooming hell scared the life out of me. Saying hello. Do you know what? You can be rude. That's funny. I can laugh at you being rude. I really can laugh at you being rude.
Ben doesn't care about David Blaine or his challenge. He is just here to make money so he can buy drugs.
Everyone watching. Oh shit. It's only weed.
Remember, keep an eye out for the police as well. Go on, help the homeless man for once. This is the good shit.
In just half an hour, Ben makes well over the minimum wage.
About $7.91.
He seems to enjoy begging.
Here we go. No, I'll tell you what, I've had some beautiful women just stop and talk to me. Went out and bought me that today. Gave me a business card and said, call me if you need a place to stay. Invited me to the pub. Bought me flowers as well. And I met him 2 days ago. The coppers stopped to talk to me and all. Wicked!
Ben sleeps somewhere in the park, but keeps the exact location a secret. In the early hours of the morning, Francois Greeff arrives at the site, ready to go to bed.
I learned to stamp my feet like this in a lunatic asylum. We used to stand under the hot water showers for hours, walking up and down on the spot like this, and just chatting in the showers.
Francois suffers with bipolar disorder, which he claims renders him, and others like him, homeless. By sleeping in the compound, below David Blaine, he hopes to raise awareness of this and get people with disabilities off the streets.
Come on, Kylie! Ho yay, ho yay, ho yay! Give your support to David Blaine here today!
Like most people, Francois hates getting up in the morning. Unlike most people, he can't turn his alarm off.
Ho yay, ho yay, ho yay!
The first thing Francois does in the morning is head for the bathroom. In his case, this means a 25-mile trek across London to Heathrow Airport.
I come here to shower because the shower is clean, it has hot water, and it's available outside of business hours. It's important that one realize that the need to shower gives me access to the world. Wearing this suit gives me access to the world.
By having access to the world, Francois means having access to things people take for granted, like working in an office.
Hello, Francois, UK. Francois, hello.
This is my office. It's technically a desk in the office of a charity called Groundswell. they have half a dozen people working here and one desk extra. So they said, for the next year or so, use the desk, the computer, the telephone, the fax machine. Use it as your own office.
Francois is highly organised, and from this office he contacts MPs, councils, charities and the press in an effort to raise awareness of his cause. Today he has a problem. When he came up with the plan of sleeping below David Blaine, he didn't take into account that other people might be sleeping there too. As a result, he is not getting the press attention he expected. He now has to come up with a new plan.
Some days I just want to up and call it quits. I feel like I'm surrounded by a wall of bricks. Every time I go to get up, I just fall in pits. My life's like one great big ball of shit.
Ben, Shaun, Rob and Richard spend their days at the site. Ben makes enough money at night to be able to do what he wants during the day. His ambition in life is to be a rapper.
All I know is I'm about to hit the wall if I have to see another one of Mum's alcoholic fits.
He spends his time rapping to anyone that will listen. Problem is, no one will. Street performer Shaun is pretending to be a statue in the hope of making some money. But with no costume, he is going nowhere. Rob doesn't beg, has no source of income, but doesn't seem to care. He spends his days recycling as if it were a full-time job.
Shit, we'll do it again. What do we start with?
Richard is a successful magician and easily supports himself from his magic gigs.
I should get out more, I know.
During the day, he passes the time by entertaining the crowds. While people stand around watching David Blaine sleep, local kids gather in a group to socialise. Ben has found his perfect audience.
Yeah, I've had 12 people kicking the living shit out of me while I've been in a sleeping bag on the street, yeah? And do you know what I've done? I've poked my head out of that sleeping bag and I've laughed at them. And when they've said, why are you laughing? I've turned around and said to them, because it takes 12 of you cunts to beat the shit out of me. Let me get out and fight you one by one. I guarantee I'll kick all your fucking heads in. And I tell you what, I've had to fight.
Ben tries to impress them with his rapping.
This is what we're gonna do.
I feel my enemies, got my hands still. Cut that, shot that, rob that, kill.
She makes me whole when she spits her lyrics.
I give headbutts, punch in the gut, because I'm no slut.
What the fuck is going on? Go home. Oh, fuck it. Simple as that.
Ben's aggressive rapping failed to bond him with the group, and they quickly turned against him.
You don't know this rascal.
I don't listen to him.
You don't know.
No, man.
You don't know nothing then. Shut up, man. You don't know nothing.
I MC different lyrics.
You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. Shut up.
Oh, clash you right now.
Shut the fuck up, man.
Weekends at the site have seen an increase in trouble and violence. Because of this, the council have been to collect Rob's recycling. To the thugs, it was becoming a stockpile of weapons.
I was collecting to get 7.5 tons worth, but to be honest, in the hands of the nutters around here that were dancing on Friday night, that's a lethal weapon, and that was an armoury that we just shifted out, so we shifted all the bottles.
Rob has had a spot of luck food-wise. Someone has given him a bag of bagels. Normally, Rob eats food he finds. To him, it is just another form of recycling.
I mean, I sort the bins out. I take out the food for the birds, food for the foxes, food for me, and water. Get out the newspapers, get out the cans, get out the bottles. By the time I've done that, their bins don't actually weigh very much at all. You know, so it's actually doing the bin boys a favour as well.
While Rob spends his evenings sitting peacefully at the entrance to the park, Francois spends his below David Blaine chatting to fans. Another remarkable fact about Francois is that he is an author.
It's a gift to you.
I can't.
One day when he's not around, you can give us a kiss.
Are you sure?
Yes, but it costs you a kiss when he's not looking.
I'll give you a kiss when he's
With
not
tongue.
looking.
You see, it fascinates me. You write a book, you win the Nobel Prize, and everybody says, you climb in a box and sit without food and say, David, I love you, David.
It's people's mentality, you see.
It's not long before the subject turns to a more serious topic. Francois reads the symptoms of bipolar disorder from his latest book.
It comes with self-loathing and disgust for yourself, an enhanced ability to achieve things and to persuade people and to manipulate, financial and sexual recklessness that border on criminality, a lack of concentration, digression, impulsiveness, poor memory, an inability to absorb information or to listen and read or learn, no empathy whatsoever. I don't feel for people sometimes, and sometimes I feel so much for other people that I sleep out here every night to change the world that homeless people live in. I care that much.
Everyone feels so sometimes.
Everybody feels
You see, it's
sometimes.
a question of limits. Everybody masturbates, but if you do it on the bus every 10 minutes, that's no good anymore. This is where mental illness steps in. It's when you exceed the normal boundaries. There are times that I can't judge the traffic and I must say to a guy, can you help me across the road? And they look at me funny and they walk. Sometimes when it gets worse, I just walk into 4 lanes of traffic, Victoria Road, no problem, wham! 1 out of 5 of us succeed at suicide. You don't choose suicide. Suicide is something that happens to you, like a car accident. I mean, does anybody ever in his right mind say, I'm going to go down to Victoria Road and hit the 43 bus? No, it doesn't happen. Accidents happen to you. And so suicide happens when I lose my marbles, wham.
You don't feel like that now?
Oh, no.
No. It just comes.
It
so
comes
you're
and
okay
goes.
now?
God, do I look okay?
You
I'm
look
as mad as a
fine.
bloody atta.
For a man that spends most of his day in and out of bins, Rob is remarkably clean. Every morning, he heads to the public toilets across the road. After a quick wash, he heads back to the park for breakfast. Looking at the way Rob lives, it would be easy for people to assume he is homeless. But in fact, his home is a caravan in Wales, with no gas, electricity or running water. However, he hasn't always lived like this.
I came from a place where I had my own house and I had all my possessions, and I come away from that and I've come to the people that have got nothing. I used to look at the people who lived in Culpable City and think I'd rather be dead than be there. And so to face that, I went and lived on the streets. And yeah, in a way I am a nutter, and I think kind of a large part of that has come from me just turning my life around and coming outside the system, because it's very easy to be like a sheep and just to go for all the things that they actually give you, and it's very hard to actually be on the outside of it all and trying to move in a different way.
Before feeding himself, Rob feeds the birds and anyone else that wants food. This is beginning to make him very popular among homeless people. After breakfast, Rob will spend the rest of his day recycling.
Silver platter, it don't matter no more, because I'm going to get you on the fucking floor, on the ground, kick you around like a son of a bitch.
Ben's last group of friends turned against him. Since then, he has made new friends who seem to admire the way he raps.
Bye.
Blip, 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 blip.
Yeah. Here we go. Gonna go. What do I show you? I'm on a hole. This shit's going to fucking flow because I'm gonna spit it at the MC1.
Francois had come up with a plan. The best way to get press attention was to get David's attention. For the first time, people visiting the site were looking down and not up. Francois had made a giant chessboard and challenged David Blaine to a game of chess. David Blaine accepted, which was lucky for Francois because he had already told the press. And now he had their full attention.
My argument is that 100 years ago, the blind, the deaf and the lame lived on the streets, penny for the blind. And then we had 2 world wars, and suddenly people said, oh, he gave his eyes for my life, for my country. And wham, they said, come inside. They didn't say stay out there, we'll bring you food out. They said, come inside, we'll help you to see, to read, to do things. And they helped them to such an extent that David Blunkett is today a Member of Parliament and Home Secretary. That is what happens when you call the homeless in and help them with a disability instead of with a hunger. The disabled don't belong on the streets of any civilized society. You cannot call yourself civilized while you give a man with a disability 20 pence and let him sleep on the streets. My homelessness is obvious. It hides my disability. And what I'm doing here is I'm bringing my disability out into the open, and I'm saying address that. Forget the homelessness. Once you deal with this, the homelessness disappears by itself.
After failing to make money at the site, Shaun is forced to look elsewhere. With his bag packed, he heads off to Covent Garden. By the time night falls, Shaun still hasn't returned.
Right, Shaun, where's Shaun gone? Well, there's probably a fight, there's probably Shaun. Is the thing. Where is Shaun?
Without Shaun to keep him company, Richard spends his time chatting to the various people that visit the site.
Oh, someone the other day, this is the God's honest truth, bit of a nutcase, said, I don't think it's really him in there, they said. And I was like, why is that? Of course it is, you can see him waving. And he went, no, you see these ropes coming down? He's a puppet. He thought someone was doing this. And then standing him up and like this. And they said, he always bangs into the back of the box, doesn't he? I was like, no, that's just him getting up, he's dizzy. And they really thought he was a puppet. And not.
After a successful day in Covent Garden, Shaun has moved on to the night crowds to make as much money as he can before going back to the site. At this point, Shaun had made well over £100, and his agenda had turned from making money to having fun.
We're gonna go behind us.
Alan!
Rob's increased popularity means his camp is now a base where people gather. Luckily, some of Rob's new friends are there to look out for him.
I'm the roller split. Play fucking team.
Ken leads the local kids away from Rob's camp by impressing them with his magic.
Yeah, kid. Dare cards.
Yeah.
Right? Twist your finger in the day. 6 o'clock, yeah?
Yeah.
Anyway. What am I doing? I'm going to cut the deck. Is that your card? Can you blow on that? Give him a flick and bring it back to the top.
That is my card.
Can you put that card under your foot? I'm going to get a flick. I'm going to poke that into your head. Very, very slowly.
Oh, God! Oh, right, man.
All right, watch. Camera. I'll show you something different. I'll push it in my hand. I'll push it right in my hand, but I will make it disappear as a cunt.
Hold on, I see something drop down here.
No, you've never seen nothing drop, mate. Can you see any dog end?
Where did it go then?
Hey, watch. Come here.
No, go on, do it.
Sucker.
Rob has made friends with an old man who has set up a stall selling flashing lights.
The old virtual one. These, he sells virtually anything. That's virtually anything you want it to be.
This is number? I'm the only man that's got the Queen's personal telephone number, right? Young man, you don't have to have money, my friend. £30,000, you wouldn't think I got $1, would you?
No.
I'm the inventor, and I, young man, every one of us has won the lottery. You know why? We're human beings, and we...
Goodness. Oh my.
We have got respect, and remember, when the world comes to respect one another, there'll be characters like me and you. And good.
At the back of Tower Bridge, there is a small shopping complex. Ben hangs out here with his new friends.
So, we're going to go down. Bye, David Blaine. Egg him if we can, but if we get caught, we're fucked. We'll go to court and say bye.
Ben is feeling especially happy today because he has got a girlfriend.
I've got a home, but he'll be coming home with me tonight.
Ben explains how he ended up on the streets.
There was just loads of problems with me and my mum, from day one. Put it this way, when I was 3 years old, my mum refused to cuddle me. She thought I was the devil himself. No, that's cool. The first day I spent on the street, I was 12 years old. And the same day that I went onto the street, some guy I know now, still, his name's Liam. From day one, me and him used to hang around, we used to beg together. The first time we went begging together was about a week after we met. And we sat down on Charing Cross Underpass and we made £200 between us in an hour. When I was 13, I was put into a foster placement. Nice people. I was a son of a bitch to them and all. And when I was 14, I was put into a children's home. I was there for a couple of months. Then I was back out on the street. And the social services put me into a B&B for a couple of weeks. And on my 16th birthday, the B&B asked me to leave because the bill hadn't been paid. So I was back out on the street again. I'm now 19. Well, she wants me to live with her. Yeah. Lovely, isn't she?
Ben heads off in high spirits. However, what he didn't realise was that he wouldn't be staying at his girlfriend's house that night. In fact, he wouldn't ever see her again. Francois is taking every opportunity to continue playing chess. He has chosen the busiest time of day to challenge David so he can get as much attention as possible. However, today David doesn't want to play.
Okay, fine, good. Done. 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Playing chess at 7 o'clock in the morning isn't going to get Francois much publicity. But he is keen to keep the chess matches going as the press seem more interested in him playing chess than him sleeping below the box. Today, a reporter is keen to speak to him. The problem is, he is far more interested in David Blaine than he is in Francois Greeff.
And is there a light in there then? So the clear pipe is the water supply. Okay, what about his waist? How often does he change the clothes? How often is that on the telly? How do you view the reaction to him? The hostility there's been?
Oh, no. You see...
But there has been.
Yes, the hostility that you mentioned is simply the irresponsible use of the freedom of the press.
Are you saying he's got as many supporters as he has detractors and critics?
No. I'm saying that out of a crowd of 3,000 supporters, one tot throws an egg. The odds are not as many as, but 3,000 to 1 as.
People who aren't throwing eggs, you're saying?
3,000 don't.
Okay.
One does.
And he gets all the publicity?
Yes.
That becomes representative.
You see, the press only report the negative. That's the only thing that sells.
What Francois is saying may be true, but ultimately it is not what the reporter wants to hear, and he quickly leaves. After a pretty unsuccessful day, Francois is back in the office. He is applying for a place on a master's degree in corporate governance at Kingston University. If he gets the place, he will write a paper which will essentially be on hidden disability and homelessness. More and more people from all walks of life are hanging around at Rob's camp, including Ben, who is now spending most of his time here.
This is how I'm going to spit it today. This is how I'm not going to stay and play the game that they throw away. That what I wrote, that what I've just done there, that was just written off the top of my head. Freestyling. Whiling, you're watching, not smiling. I don't.
A reporter was so impressed with Ben's rap, she asked him to write it down for her. Luckily, Ben's rapping isn't the only entertainment at Rob's camp. Richard has come down to entertain everyone with his magic.
This is where it gets interesting. Just grab
You're the
one.
only person I'm going to do this with.
Fair play for a very... Just grab one. Don't know what it is, just take it out. Don't let me see it, put it straight into your pocket. Shout it to them now, right?
Got it?
So, we'll take the 7 here. Remember this one was signed? Can you hold your hand on it? What should I do? I'll tear this up, alright? The ink's dry on there. Doesn't really matter, we're painted anyway. Make a fist. Turn your hand over like this. Which card did you... Can I have a look? Ah, no wonder you laughed. Alright, the Joker, watch this. Watch the Joker. See it? See it become your card? Look in your hand, I bet you hold it.
I'll tell you what, no, that's the first magic trick with cards that has impressed me.
Thank you very much. The Joker, look, I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll make this more interesting. This was your card, right?
Yeah.
Hold out your hand for me, this was squeeze. Sorry, as you can, turn your hand over. Yeah, it's for this guy. Here, watch what we do. Hold these from over. Sorry, I'm prop lady. We'll call you prop lady. There, look at the pieces, open up. See, you fix it, it saves the trouble of that.
Fucking hell.
This is your half of the deck right here, okay? Can you lift up half of those cards roughly? I'm going to be exact. I'm just going to bury your card in there. Can you put the rest back on top? And can you make it neat so I can't see the edge where it landed, alright? Alright, have you got that pen? You need to just sign a card of your own, yeah? There's a new one here. Say stop. Stop. Right at the top there, okay? Just do me a favour, remember your card. It's going to be the Jack of Spades, yeah? Just put your signature on the back this time, because it's hard with all the pictures in the front. I'll hold it here. Whatever you like, big as you can. Then, alright? So now you can see that. Remember your card, what it is? Yep. Alright, Jack of Spades, yeah? Okay, watch what we do. Put the Jack of Spades in the middle here, and your card's in the middle there. By putting these two piles together, the cards are going to be in separate piles of the deck, yeah? If I do this, then your card finds Lauren's card, look. Where's your card? Have I gone past it? There, look, it goes right through. As you find yours, right? But keep watching, because you signed the 7, right? You signed the back of the Jack. Watch your Jack, look. Jumps off the Jack, you see it? Look, lands in the back of Lauren's card.
No! No!
That's for you. And this is for your deck.
Rob and Shaun have got a job, working on the old man's light stall.
If we've got one, I'd say that these are the best ones. I like these ones. They're a bit slow on the go. There you go. Don't worry about the money. You get the umbrella up. Let's get you dry first. You're the most important thing.
Thank you.
Forget the money. It ain't about money, is it? Right then. Stand clear of the doors. Don't try this at home. Point it somewhere safe and press that button. Nothing will happen. Then give it a few wiggles of the wrist and then we'll see where we go from there. Now give it a wiggle. Plus round and round. Go on. Ha-ha, the old wiggle, you see.
Thank you.
£2 to you, lovely girl. There's your handbag.
Bye-bye.
Go well. London prices, you can't get fresher than that. Budget in Scotland, no guarantee whatsoever, but you'll be good for a bit, eh? Have a beautiful night wherever you're off to.
While Rob was busy making sales, Shaun had been attaching the stock to one of the umbrellas.
£1, flashy lights, £1. Brollies, £2, £2 your brolly, £1 your lights, £2 your brollies, £1 your lights.
As the event approached the halfway stage, everybody seemed to be doing well.
Come on, David, wake up, you sad fucker! Shazam!
I'm on fucking TV!
Sometimes I feel I got to run away, I got to get away from the pain you drive into the heart of me. The love we share seems to go nowhere, and I lost my life before I toss and turn. I can't sleep at night. Once I ran to you, I ran, now I run from you. This tainted love you've given, I give you all a boy could give you. Take my tears and that's not nearly all. Now I know I've got to run away, I got to get away from the pain you drive into the heart of me. The love we share seems to go nowhere, and I lost my life for I toss and turn. I can't sleep at night. Once I ran to you, I ran, now I run from you. This tainted love you've given, I give you all a boy could give you. Take my tears and that's not nearly all. Touch me, baby, tainty love. Touch me, baby, tainty love. Touch me, baby, tainty love.
Today, Francois will be playing his third game of chess against David Blaine. He has put Shaun in charge of setting up the chessboard. Shaun seems very keen to get involved, but he doesn't actually want to play David Blaine himself.
I couldn't match his brain. It's 1-1 at the moment. David won the last one, so David's on the roll.
The chess matches were long and drawn out, a single game lasting as long as 4 hours. Francois never showed any signs of impatience, even though it was not proving to be a success in his publicity campaign. So far, Francois has managed to get his photo in the paper, but because they didn't print his message, he doesn't see it as a success. Today's match would prove no different from the rest. His only success would be winning the match.
I'm on a mission to fix a rainbow. Got a broken rainbow.
Rob has found a broken umbrella, which he is taking back to his camp to fix.
Smile, you're on candy camera. Look natural.
Although things look like they are going well for Rob, the fact is he is having problems. Last night, a group of drunks he was looking after turned against him. They smashed up his possessions, wrecked his home, and gave him a black eye. But it doesn't stop Rob welcoming new people to his camp.
Hello, look, we've got the new lodgers. Who have we got? Tommy boy! Top man, good morning! Suddenly things got better.
Due to the number of people hanging around at Rob's camp, he now spends most of his time trying to keep the peace instead of recycling.
I've just had a whole load of other missions coming up actually, so I have eased up on the recycling. Which is a shame, and I want to actually do more. All I'm pulling out really now is the bottles at night off the air so that no one gets bottled, although Dave cracked a bottle over someone's head last night. Over John's head actually. Have a look. What? Who's blacked my eye? I haven't. Tommy G, you're visioning things. Listen to this harmonica. He's a top harmonica man. Listen. Listen. Listen to that. Can that boy blow or can he blow? Tommy G, morning. How are ya? Still on the feet, still standing.
Still standing, man.
Drop with Rob Scott. Was that any good to you?
Nah.
No?
Nah.
Why, what happened?
What?
What happened?
Smoke?
No,
It's just
we're
a
just
miracle
getting
that
up.
he is still standing. It's a miracle. The amount this man takes, there's nothing can keep him down. I threw my first punch, bruv. First punch in 27 years.
Did you
Knocked
knock him
man
out?
I'm afraid so.
Fucking right.
One round the temple.
Rob's peacekeeping has had an obvious effect on one person, Ben. He seems a lot calmer, and this is most apparent in his rapping. Rather than his usual aggressive words, Ben is now rapping about harmony and spirituality.
Here we're gonna go with a 1, 2, 3. I'm a lyrically in harmony with the spiritual one. Here we go, I'm gonna call you son. You can't call me son, cause I'm the one that's gonna go up there and be next to the sun. Ah, in the sky with the stars. So it's just off the top of my head, shit, can't help it.
When it comes to begging in the evenings, he has found that being charming works just as well.
I will give everything I own. Give up my life, my heart, my home, just to have you back again. Yeah. Could you spare any small change, sir?
There, yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're very welcome.
It was nice to meet you. You take care. Thank you. Good night. Oh, your friend can.
Not long after his first encounter with violence, once again Rob has found himself in the thick of it.
What happened from the beginning was that I wanted some rolling tobacco so I could roll a smoke. And I was walking around the side of the garden shed, which I call Ken's place, that's my garden shed, and asking people for a smoke. And I walked around the corner and round the front, I saw a young man being hit by another young man.
Fuck you and your mum!
Just back up.
Come on! Get away, mum!
So I dived in and said, come on, oi, just pack it up, leave it out, you don't need it, stop.
Get out. Stop it. Look,
You come out here. Right back out there. Now, just back off, okay? Just back off. What is this need to be so rough and tough? Where is the love? Where is the love, you know? Because that's what's missing around here, is love and respect for your brothers and sisters and for the Earth Mother, because I'm not seeing that here, hardly at all. And it saddens me, and I think kind of a large part of me being here is to actually, hopefully, remind people of what the score really is.
When the situation got out of control, Rob was forced to call the police, resulting in one of the boys being arrested.
My problem now lies in the fact that they think I shocked him into the old bill, whereas in truth, I think that he sealed his own fate by running after the other guy after I told him not to, and after it had all chilled out. It was like he was carrying on provoking the situation. But of course now, there is a small chance that they're going to actually target me.
We don't know who they are, but at the end of the day, they was having a fight here. We was just on take it.
The boy was keeping still on the floor.
The boy was keeping still on the floor here, trying to get up. They kicked him back down to the ground and they hit him. They were kicking him to death.
All because of that man over there. That man over there, look, with the flag, he grasped, caused all this trouble, got people beaten up, and it's out of order at the end of the day. With his pedal pushers. I'm going, because you don't know. I'm going, yes, see you later.
The police have said, come back and talk to them, so after I smoke this, or I'll walk back and smoke it, and I'll go and talk to them. Basically, I could be in trouble with that one of them, because I've just met them again on the street, and they think I grassed him up.
Well, no, it's because we saw the one lad sprinting across.
I know, and that's when we acted.
The other.
And I know what happened, and you know what happened, but they've jumped to conclusions. Were you all right? No one got hurt?
No.
That was a miracle, wasn't it? Because it must have been 8-1.
It's about normal odds.
Is that really true?
Yeah.
Satisfied that the police are all safe, Rob decides to carry on with his recycling.
Okay, so what are we going to do? The police have all gone and cleared out, haven't they? I'm going to go and get my gloves and a rubbish bag and go and sort some stuff. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I do not believe it.
Although the chess has been a complete disaster, Francois has had some success from his persistent letter writing and telephone calls. The Sunday Times magazine published an article on him. This was the first time Francois had really got his message across to the masses. And from this article, he got hundreds of emails, one of which inviting him to Radio Leeds for an interview.
Well, for the time being, as long as David Blaine sleeps inside of that box, I sleep below it. I do this so that the homelessness industry and the government can wake up and realize that disabled people are sleeping on our streets. I want them to count those people.
For Rob, things are going from bad to worse. He has been asked to leave the park.
Trying to be an angel in this city is not hard. To find it difficult because they make it hell. The park has moved us on. We've got a citation against us. Public bylaw, subsection 3, third paragraph 33, side clause 411-17981. No tent shall be erected within the borough parks at any times. I'm fed up with it. To be honest, I'm fed up with it. You can tell. Listen, I'm fed up. All right, I've had enough. It's hard enough as it is. And look at my eye. That's the first time, not the first time at all. I've been hit so many times since I've been here. It's unbelievable. But look at my fist. That's because I hit him back for the first time in 27 years. I hit someone, and to be honest, after I'd hit him once, I wanted to go and hit him a few more times. Luckily, I actually shouted, "May you travel in peace and beauty," and let him go. But I'm beginning to get affected by all the madness going on here as well. I am.
Despite the trouble Rob has had at his camp, he is still as determined as ever to carry on with the recycling and peacekeeping in Potter's Field.
Shaolin, kick it, mate.
Basically, they've given me a number. I'm going to phone up and actually ask for permission. Normally, I'm just a law unto myself, but I will ask for permission to be here. And if they say no, then know that I'm getting the boat sorted out today, and I'll build a little bender on the boat, and I'll just have a floating palace on the Thames, and they can come out and hail me from their boats if they want to. If they annoy me too much, I'll just drive away.
Living on a boat sounded like a good idea. Rob would be able to carry on his missions at the site and at the end of each day return back to the safety of his boat, where he could put his feet up and relax on deck before retiring to his cabin for a peaceful night's sleep. Problem is, this is Rob's boat. He found it in a skip a few days ago and repaired it. It was only a matter of time before Shaun discovered Rob had a boat. And who needs enemies when you have friends like Shaun, who promptly stole the boat and headed down to the River Thames with his two accomplices, Gillis and Stella. Shaun headed straight for the river. Luckily, Stella found a couple of planks of wood to use as oars. Shaun's plan was to paddle up to David Blaine so they could wave at him from the middle of the Thames. But with the river running in the opposite direction, the only thing they could do was try to head back to dry land. However, they managed to get stuck on a ledge 20 feet out. It wasn't long before Stella decided to wade back to shore. It turns out Stella wasn't very good at wading. She managed to completely soak herself in half a foot of water and lose a shoe at the same time. But she did manage to hold on to the one important thing in life, her bottle of cider. Stella then became the hero of the day by dragging the boys to safety. Shaun looked relieved to be back on dry land, but now it was time to face the music.
Look, Stella had over the rope all the time.
Stella, great. Yeah, get fucking posh tramp on the fucking rope. I feel safe with Stella holding you. It's running at fucking knots, man.
No, it's not. It's slack
It's
water.
not calm and it's not slack. Look at the balloon. You're in a great big balloon. It's loon. Don't do it. We bring the boat back. Come on, let's get it back home. I'm not ready for it. I want the outboard, the oars, life jackets, the lot. Bring it in. Come on. You've not even tied on. Look, you've discovered I've got a boat. Great. Don't you think I've got other things to do with it? Bro, you've done it and great, but let's get it back. I don't want it out. And I don't want to walk on here because of the glass. Keep noise to a minimum. You're a nutter. You are. Stella on the rope. She's lost her shoe. There's glass. She was walking barefoot. That was a cock-up mission. Luckily it came off all right. Yeah, she was holding on to you, mate. What would have happened if Stella let go?
We were fine.
You weren't. You came into the side because she's got hold of the rope.
No.
Those bits of wood were not oars.
Where
They
did
were
you-
bloody
where did you go
clunky.
up
They
by?
wouldn't have done you no
Where did
good
you go up by?
nowhere. You will die in that river. They told me you've got to get a tetanus after you've been in there. There's Will's disease from the rats. You've got to get your fucking head together. You can't be a bull in a china shop when it comes to something like this. We could just fuck off now. Let's just do it. Hey and hey, today's a good day to die. Do you want to do it? Yeah. Right, well then let's just take the ropes off and go and jump in the river and see what happens. True. You up for it? I am. But if you're not, let's do it properly. I'm not fucking about. I have got hundreds of quid's worth of gear at home that I want here. I've got more missions on than you just floating around in my boat shop. True.
After a successful day in Leeds, Francois is feeling extremely happy. The interview went well. He is hoping this will be a turning point in his campaign. Before returning to the site, he heads to his favourite alfresco restaurant for a bite to eat. Here he wines and dines before heading back to his riverside home, where, like any gentleman, he indulges in a fine cigar. Even though the park warden has asked Rob to leave, he has been allowed to stay until he hears back from the council. For the past few days, Ben has been sleeping at Rob's camp to try and protect him from further attacks. Having Ben there seemed to be a good deterrent up until this morning, when in the early hours, someone placed a chair outside Rob's tent and set fire to it.
Flames were up, weren't they? Because he was going on.
Yeah,
about
but
the
they
tree.
weren't high up to the tree.
No, but they were up on here, weren't they?
It was up here, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, man, it's artificial fibre, and the bloody tent's here, and the zip's stuck here, so we've got a gap that big to get out.
This was the last straw for Rob. The tent was within minutes of catching alight when he woke up and managed to escape. Now fearing for his safety, he wants to move on to the river as soon as possible. He phones a friend in Wales to arrange a time to collect his motor.
It's too much, isn't it? I'm not very on the case. Someone's really tried to set fire to my fucking tent this morning. True, I did. They set my throne on fire. Woke up this morning after 1.5 hours sleep to a raging artificial fire fucking 2-3 foot away from the canvas. And the zip was stuck on the door, couldn't get out. Fucking nutters here. Anyway, the sooner I get that boat on the go, the better. But yeah, I'll phone her, I'll tell her to phone you, and we're on our way. Love you, see you soon. Bless, ciao.
Playing chess looked as though it was about to pay off for Francois. ABC, an American news crew, wanted to film him playing a game of chess with David. Francois jumped at the chance. However, David wasn't in the mood for a game that morning. Frustrated at facing a missed opportunity, Francois reenacted the previous game for the benefit of the camera. David became very anxious and wanted Francois to stop, but stuck in the box, there was nothing he could do. This was where Shaun stepped in. He walked in front of the cameras and packed away the chessboard.
David was like, thank you very much. And Francois just went totally off the handle. He was really angry, but it was aggravating David, and David's suffering anyway, so it's sort of like poking a tiger in the cage, winding him up even more. That's why I did it, and I tried to explain that to Francois, but he won't listen at all.
As news went around that Rob was leaving, the drunks he had been looking after rioted, attacking Rob and breaking his possessions, but worst of all, slashing his new boat. Rob fled with as much as he could carry and, fearing to go back, went to the park wardens for help.
What I'm saying is, numero uno, is that on the right, I want that stuff, but I can't go and get it. But know that they just attacked me and they are drunk and abusive.
Okay.
I mean, know that Ben will be behind you.
Within minutes of setting off to Wales, Rob was fast asleep. Although uncomfortable, for the first time in weeks, he could sleep without fear of attack. 4 hours later, Rob arrives in Wales. He lives on the outskirts of a small village, 11 miles from Cardigan. His is one of a few caravans sitting on 24 acres of land belonging to a local house. By torchlight, Rob heads off into the darkness to get life jackets and oars, which are hidden under his tin bath not far from his caravan. There is also a shop on the land, which has been set up for the local community. The shop is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and because it is unmanned, it is based entirely on trust. On the table, there's a book. You write down what you have taken and put your money in the tin. If you don't have money, you can pay later. Rob stocks up on a few essentials to keep him going for the next few days.
We just put the money in the jar. And there we go. That's the way shopping should be.
The motor is at a friend's house, a few miles down the road. He loads the motor into the car with some other essentials and heads back to London. Back at the site, it was busier than normal. Francois was nowhere to be seen. It turned out he was in the shopping complex at the back of Tower Bridge. He didn't seem his usual self. The argument with David Blaine seemed to have affected him, yet he couldn't remember what had happened.
I know that I got to the office at around 1 o'clock. I don't know what happened to the hours in between. They lost from my memory. For the time being, I think I'm just going to turn in and go to bed.
Back in London, Rob now feared for his safety. Luckily, last night he had found somewhere he could store his stuff, away from the trouble of the site. Across the road from Potter's Field, Rob had found an open door, leading up to a roof which would provide a perfect temporary home. Ben seems to have found a father figure in Rob and has also moved onto the roof. You can see why Ben, or any homeless person, would want to be around Rob. He seems to have the ability to create a homely environment wherever he goes. This seems like the perfect place for Rob to stay, but he is still as determined as ever to find a place to live on the river. Before he can do that, he has to mend the gashes in the boat. Problem is, he doesn't have the right glue and feels it won't be ready for tonight. On the riverbank, Shaun is waiting with the motor. Realising it is unlikely the boat will be fixed tonight, he decides to hire a boat. By the time the hire boat arrives, it has got dark, and Shaun soon discovers there is yet another problem. The motor isn't working.
What's the matter?
You got any
We just need a slight adjustment on the motor. I just put my nose on camera as well. A pair of pliers we need.
It's just not engaging, the prop's just not engaging.
While Shaun attempts to fix the motor, Rob decides to do some fire breathing.
I love it, I love playing with fire. It's a shame I couldn't bring my staff. I've got like a really long bamboo staff, and then I put all different kinds of things on the end of it. So it like gives me kind of a 30-foot radius. It's a new game that I started playing this summer.
Whoa!
By 11 o'clock, Shaun had fixed the motor and they were ready to launch the boat. Although the river looked calm, the fact is, even the big boat struggled to cross it. had two missions. One was to find a suitable place to moor his boat. The other was to do some fire breathing for David Blaine. Shaun wanted to have a bit of fun, and the police wanted the pair of them off the river. Unfortunately for the police, Rob had made sure everyone had life jackets, and the boat had both port and starboard lights, supplied by the light store. With the police watching, Rob decided it wasn't a good idea to do any fire breathing, so temporarily abandoned the mission and decided to cruise down to Battersea to see the Buddha. It wasn't long before the engine cut out.
Kick her in, we're good. Go on, because they're going to come after us. They are coming after us.
No. We've got a full tank, but we just want to use our reserve.
We've got 3/4 of a tank now.
So where you come from?
From Tower Bridge.
Well, what's just put it up ashore, mate?
Well, I'm coming up to see the Buddha stupa, which is up at Battersea. Yeah. But otherwise, we won't come up this way. We're going to be coming back down, though. We'll tell you that now.
Oh, then no problem.
No worries, you go well. Go on then, kick her in, bro. Got a speeding ticket on the old River Thames, just outside the Houses of Parliament. We've been nicked by the old harbour master out of Wandsworth on or about 1st of October 2003 for a period of 6 months. Repairs will be carried out. We've got to go onto the oars. It's not hot at all, it's cold. We've been stopped for about 45 minutes and you need half choke. Look, you do it clever, Dick, because basically you need the choke and I'm fed up with fucking going on with you, Shaun. Over to you. Look, this is how you should have your ship shape, Bristol fashion, all tied on, ready to chuck out. Bodget and Scarpa styling. Here we are being rescued by the RNLI, inaugural mission with the Zodiac. We're getting escorted home, we're not allowed to fire breathe in the river. We've got to get back on dry land. Just suit me fine, I've had enough of this game.
Hang on, Rob. Hold up, hey, easy, hang on a second.
Francois had some good news. He had received an unconditional offer for a place on a master's degree at Kingston University. In the early hours of the morning, Francois is looking round the university grounds for a place to live when his course starts.
Yep. You can fit a bolt over here with a little lock and just cut through that and that and that, and you'd be able to slide the whole panel in and out and walk through. Perfect. The only trouble is that your entrance and exit from here is pretty exposed. Let's walk around that way and see what we find. But the easy part is that we have no shortage of bushes. Excellent stuff. I reckon by the time you get through this wee bushy, you're in business. I think this is a good place. You know the Alibaba tree? No. What Alibaba did is he found himself a tree from which he could see without being seen. I mean, who in his right mind would dream of finding a man living in there? And it's just wonderful. That's where I shall be living. Excellent, let's go. Right opposite the School of Business.
Couldn't have wanted better. Couldn't have found better if you'd paid for it, could you? I think I'm going to be happy. Coming back to academia is like being home again. I'm a very happy man today.
Cracked an old lamppost right over the head. A copper came up to me and he asked me my name. So I gave him the answer with a bicycle chain. The judge said, sit down my boy and dry up your tears. You were away to the Bristol for a stretch of 5 years. My mother was laughing, my sister was too. I got the copper.
After Rob's experience on the river, he decided the safest place to stay is on the roof. As long as the location of his new home is kept a secret, he would be safe. It's been a long time since Rob has lived in London, and the experience has been a real eye-opener for him, but he still cannot come to terms with the amount of waste he is seeing here on a daily basis.
You know, look at me up here, all of this stuff has been chucked out, there's nothing wrong with any of it. It's all been chucked out. When they cleared the park out from where we were set up before, they've taken away a tip-top futon base, basically. The mattress was good when I got it as well. You know, I can't believe the wastefulness. And then that links straight into doing the recycling and the rubbish because, you know, again, I mean, you know, my breakfast this morning is garlic bread because I found, you know, 3/4 of a stick of garlic bread I can just chucked away last night, plus 3/4 of a pizza that was sitting on the wall. You know, I can't believe that people spend that much money, London prices, on food, and then just don't even eat it. Where I come from, and on the level that I live, you start with cleanliness, and you start with clarity in the home, and from there you can create beauty. If you're living in squalor, if you're surrounded by rats, they've got a problem here with rats. Why? Because of the wastefulness, because of their way of actually dealing with it. And, you know, it's not just animal rats, there's human rats as well, unfortunately. And that's not knocking them, bless them, they're deceased people, but there's a lot of problems here in this town.
I counted the stars, counted all 5 of those old postal bars.
Since their argument, Francois and David Blaine have stopped playing chess and no longer acknowledge each other. The situation between Francois and Shaun is no better. But despite these troubles, Francois is in an extremely happy mood due to his place at university.
I like it. Back, please. Oh my God. Take pan your money box posters. Come get your posters.
Ben has had a spot of luck. He has got a job on the stall selling posters, and it is all thanks to Rob, who persuaded the old man to give Ben a chance.
Take pan your posters.
He is really enthusiastic and wants to make Rob proud.
Man in box posters, take pan, come and get them. Take pan your posters.
Today Ben could have earned a lot more money begging, but he chose to work on the stall instead. Now he is free to spend his evening as he wishes.
Done a couple of hours work on a stall for the old git. Got 15 quid for it. And went and bought loads of hash. And now I'm doing this, just getting high. I get too paranoid in my dreams. I'm going way too much into this joint. It's going to be one powerful son of a bitch. I've been feeling really funny today. Just a weird gut feeling. that's the joint. And it's gonna be fucking brilliant. What's up? Man's buzzing. I've had a good night tonight.
8 days before the stunt was due to end, the organisers told Richard, Shaun and Francois they were no longer allowed to sleep in the compound at night. Rob had no problem in talking Shaun around to sleeping on the roof, but Richard was determined to sleep within sight of David Blaine.
Honestly, are you sure that you're good sleeping on a bench? It's not the same as sleeping in there.
I know, I've said that. It's cool.
Well, if you change your mind, I'm 5 minutes round the corner, and it is well played.
Unlike Richard and Shaun, Francois wasn't going to accept being kicked out.
When I came into this compound in the very beginning, I phoned Southern Council and asked them, what are my rights? Am I allowed to sleep in that public park? Did David Blaine hire the park? And I was told very emphatically that David Blaine doesn't hire the park. He has a license to entertain the same as anybody else along the strip. I can go into that enclosure 24 hours, 7 days a week, and I can sleep there because it is not unlawful to sleep in a park. To put up a tent, that's unlawful. And he said that they don't have the right to search people and they don't have the right to refuse anybody entry. If they want to prevent me from going in there, they may be acting unlawfully. I'm going to inquire with the council on Monday whether or not they have that
Sleeping
right.
in there tonight?
I don't know yet. That's what I'm trying to find out. And I want to know whether it's going to be war about it. I mean, I didn't come here for 35 days to be thrown off by these goons on day 36.
Whether they were right or wrong, the security refused to let Francois into the compound that night. He has taken this as a personal attack from David Blaine.
I have the right to be there and he's interfered with my rights. He has used force and he's employed a bunch of heavies to interfere with my rights. That becomes some sort of a crime. I want to go to the police and tell them, arrest that man. Lower that box and arrest him.
In the final week of David Blaine's stunt, many more people came to show their support and to perform at the site. Richard and Shaun spent their days relaxing in the local cafe and looking forward to going home. They were both very excited because David Blaine had asked to meet them when the event is over. Richard continued sleeping outside the compound without any trouble. Shaun stayed on the roof with Rob and Ben. Every evening, Shaun would prepare the boat so he could go out and play on the river, and there was always a queue of young boys waiting to join him. Rob made sure everyone knew about the dangers, and as there was only one spare life jacket, told Shaun to only take one person out at a time.
You told him about all the hazards, Shaun. Have you filled him in? He knows that the motor's totally sketchy. Does he know about rowing or anything?
However, as soon as Rob's back was turned, Shaun ignored him and headed off with a boat full of kids. More often than not, the engine would die. And Shaun would float off with his passengers, leaving Rob to worry on shore.
We shouldn't have taken 3 hours. I've got 1 life jacket on, so that means that there's only 2 life jackets, and 2 of them haven't got life jackets. And then, what is he doing?
Rob managed to keep the location of his new home a secret, and in doing so, avoided further trouble. He continued recycling, but on a much smaller scale, and lived out his final week in peace. After proving he was a hard worker, Ben was given a regular job on the stall, which meant he had enough money to live on without begging. Having a stable job, a home on the roof, and being around people he could trust made him a much calmer person.
You can't turn around and say goodbye. Don't let me in. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Nobody ever loved me like she does. Oh, she does. Yeah, she does.
David Blaine has survived 44 days of starvation and is about to be released. Paramedics and David's team are now making final preparations to bring the box down. The pictures you are seeing are live from Tower Bridge in London.
But I cried most of Monday morning. And I don't cry. I never cry. I can't even cry at a funeral. It felt like he gave me a family which I never had before.
I wanted to actually support David because I could see that he was taking people beyond the normal of everyday life and just existence. He was doing that, and that is what he did in an incredible way.
Something like that, it's something that will change your whole life. It's one thing that you do, and it will change your entire perception on life and what life is all about. It was one of the biggest and best choices that I've ever made, because I do not regret one single moment of the David Blaine experience.
I travel, and I travel by going into the star within the Kingfisher's eye. So I visualise the Kingfisher, and I go into the pupil, and I go into the light within the pupil, and then I become the Kingfisher, and then I fly wherever it is that I want to fly to.
We are Jedis, man.
You're fire.
Nah, man, that's a piss take, robbing a homeless man's stuff.
Ah, Shaun's a real gentleman.
So No, don't put the fucking camera on. Turn it off.
We run things around here. And when we say do something, you jump.
Pull up! There we go, this one's for the 334.
It's craziness.
I'll bite your fucking throat out with my teeth. Does it really look like I give a fuck? Step outside.